game. we have a trap in front of us.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I love that. Music to my ears, Avo. You know,
Dire
many months since we've had Valve-sponsored Dota events. Well, TI and before that. But
Disruptor.
there we go.
Get into draft already.
Yeah, so Snapfire was every team,
10 seconds remaining.
especially nice.
5 seconds remaining.
Because it provides so much, right? It gives growth potential. Strong laner. It enables these big melee offlaners in every team. Also, it can be flexed, right? We've seen Gopaj picking this Snapfire
It can
going
really be flexed. There are flex heroes, and then there is Snapfire. Snapfire is doing yoga like 3 times a day. I've seen 2 position, 3 position, 4. It's playing everything except carry.
Well, Mickey then. Because he did try the Snapfire carry a while back. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah,
but just in the Mineski Masters, I think Boom played it in all different roles. So this hero really just will fit whatever you need it to. Won't be a 5 position here, but still, it's going to keep TNC guessing.
And I think TNC is playing quite a lot of Snapfire in the recent tournament. So like, T1 taking this right now is a pretty.
Dire team ban.
I mean, I know everyone wants it, but like. Some teams you see there being kind of variety. TNC, they were pretty happy with like taking Snapfire as much as possible. So T1 taking this, pretty sick.
For TNC's opening, Sheep, you told me about the what it means to pick to first phase. What does that mean to you?
10
Well,
seconds
if I look at this
remaining.
game, picking 2 supports in the opening phase, it looks like, I mean, both teams have basically done that here, which is kind of unorthodox because a lot of teams like to pick a core on the 4 pick. But yeah, at least for TNC here, Nyx, you know, a very good counter to Snapfire in general, right? Because of the carapace on the kisses, it mitigates that team fight aspect from the team. But I think what they're basically doing with having 2 supports here is that they know that they want these, they know that they're strong, and they want to make sure they have them before they either get banned out in the second phase or you know, taken by the enemy. Because Disruptor is like this really nice hero that like stops like the spirit type heroes like the Storm and stuff. It's like a great like setup, like, hey, if you pick this, you're gonna have a bad time, right? So they have like a good, like a counter in Nyx Assassin and like a setup in Disruptor. You know, if you want to play on Vision a lot, Disruptor's your boy, you know? He's gonna glimpse you on these wards if you're playing under Vision. Like, he's just a strong hit.
Yeah, I feel like the weakness if you're picking 2 supports is often like maybe you don't have enough control or there's some weaknesses, but like I see Disruptor Nyx, I'm thinking it blocks off so many of those heroes. What's good against these heroes is maybe tanky heroes because they don't have a lot of damage output, which is where TNC now are like, okay, let's ban DK, ban Doom, ban these heroes that we know T1 likes to play that are going to be good against this support duo. So I like the response, and if Carl ends up having to play one of those spirit heroes, you've already got Nyx and Disruptor to deal with it.
They combine it with a Razor, which actually adds to the yanking potential of heroes and brings a fair amount of damage.
I'll be real, I'm a little bit surprised that they picked Razor this early, because usually the Razor is more of a response pick, right? You see a melee core on the enemy team, you pick Razor for the static link to destroy a lane. I mean, Razor in himself is a strong laner, so if you put him in any lane, he should do fairly well, go even, win, whatever, right? Maybe they're trying to dissuade T1 from picking like a certain type of carry, but it's hard, it's not sure. It's usually a response pick, so seeing it this early is interesting.
To be the
T1's turn to pick.
Febby, where like you go for the refresher build and pick Razor, right? That was like a first pick Razor for a while.
And I think I saw Razor in one of the DPC matches in one of the other regions. It seems like Razor's being played more as this greedy carry that actually scales in the late game. Yes. Like you mentioned, this Midas late game refresher, having you team fighting around this double ulti. It's like you get to late game and you don't want to fight into this Razor. He has some really good late game talents as well, and I think that's something where maybe Team C just feel this hero is really strong right now.
Enough T1 probably thinks it's Quap is this.
Yeah.
I think they've set themselves up for like, no matter what lane Razor goes to, we're going to have a good matchup. Right.
Yeah.
It's a Queen and Void. They both have ways to break the link, or which is pretty great. I mean, Bane's also kind of decent against Razor just because of the ability to sleep him when he goes on you. They have like pretty good disengage here, so hopefully they won't get run over too badly. But yeah, it's nice response picks. They also have synergy here with the Chrono and the kisses from Snapfire. You know, Nyx can't carapace if he's in Chrono.
Then they pick up a Darks here for already reveal the rate. Not going to go off. Void's gonna have
Yeah, and I think that's the benefit of pick. Yeah, the Razor was picked like, okay, there's no like melee hero that's going to static link, but now they kind of get to pick a better offlaner for this game. This is a hero that's going to have a free time in the lane against the Faceless Void, I feel. You're not this like burst hero where you can time walk off damage. The Iron Shell damage, you know, it's like slowly ticks away at you. So I feel like they've really set up Zhao Yu to have a better game by picking Razor kind of blind. Yeah, this Razor kind of is going to have to maybe suffer a bit or just not have the perfect game, but Darkseer should shine. And there's a lot of synergy. Darkseer, the vacuum with the Nyx, the Disruptor, teamfight potential, it's there.
That's true, actually. I remember years ago when Emmy was playing a Fnatic with Jabs, that iteration, they were playing ESL. I got to interview them. They played Nyx Darkseer every single game. And I asked them, I was like, is that your only strat? They go, yeah, that's we didn't figure anything else. So it's a classic from the region. Is that strong? Is it good to enable a Darkseer this way? Is he a valuable hero that can take the game for you?
What I like here is, if we're looking at it, they have second pick on TNC, right? So they have the last overall pick of the game. So by picking Razor early, it's basically the last time that they get countered. So yeah, it's kind of rough to have this Quaff and this Faceless Void. However, Razor, like I said, strong laner, gonna have a decent game no matter what. Now that allows them to see two of their cores and pick this Darkseer, and they're still not giving away their overall game plan, right? They're gonna have this last big pick. It's gonna be the big carry hero, and Darkseer is an offlaner that traditionally has just enables carries, right? If you're picking like some Ember Spear or melee core that can just jump in and go in and you get to move them around. Say you have a Medusa even, right? Darkseer is a hero that like surges her and allows her, like usually she has no mobility, but Darkseer gives that, right? So I think TNC are just like building up their draft here for this like final big carry.
10 seconds remaining.
Oh, absolutely. I think the carry may be like a kind of mid-style carry, like that flashy, like I mean the Ember was banned. I could see them going for some kind of like just playmaking mid that takes over the game, the Lina type hero. Although now that T1 picked Mars, Lina perhaps less appealing with the Bulwark. I love what T1 have done. Like, I mean, I think both teams have drafted well here, but T1, they see this Razor and 3 cores that all do well against Razor. You can spear the Razor away with this when you get static linked. I'm definitely a bit concerned about how this Razor is going to be able to impact this game. And T1's team fight, not just have they got cores that do well against the Razor, it's like these cores all synergize well to get together. Like you've got this huge Queen of Pain burst damage for Chrono, the Mars Arena, and it just feels like T1 have put together a very solid draft.
Yeah, it's true, because they also proposed earlier, right, with the Void, so that now we know this is a Void draft to a degree, right, and everything's measured with that, whereas, as Sheepo said, we're not sure what TNC, but the big core of the draft is. Which is on one side good because T1 won't be able to respond to it. Is there any hero you think here that's like can take away the game, can solo carry even despite the Razor's?
It depends what they're trying to do. So they have team fight, right? They have some damage. I don't think they have like a lot of damage, so I would like to see a last pick here that is able to just output as much damage as possible. Okay. It's kind of sad because a lot of ranged heroes struggle into Mars just because of how Arena works. Like Luna, who's traditionally pretty good against Mars, is banned out, right? Because the glaives bounce through the arena. Terrorblade's gone. Medusa's still in the pool, but she doesn't really do a lot of damage for a long time, so I don't know. And there's no real like synergy with Darkseer outside of Nyx to like to put an Iron Shell on, right, and like have them go in and just do as much damage as possible.
Feels like they're better off getting like maybe like a Morphling type hero where it's like you can do magic damage as well that doesn't maybe worry about the Bulwark as much. Oh, sorry, Morphling, they banned themselves. I'm just kidding. Yeah, and I think this is a trap. These teams, you know, like, hey, we got last pick of the draft, we're going to last pick this hero, but then you get there and you're like, oh, everything that's good against their draft is banned. And it's just sometimes this like moment where like they've used over a minute thinking about this last pick, which is meant to be their boom, gotcha, we just won the draft with 10th pick, but what is that hero? We're going to find out soon enough, but...
Okay, I like that a lot.
Yeah, okay. Explain why she...
Grey again, obviously lives through a Chrono, because what T1's game plan is going to be is they want to kill you in one go. Like they want, this isn't a sustained fight, right? This is we're using Arena, we're using Chrono, we're killing you now, right? Wraith King lives through that. Wraith King's enabled by Iron Shell. Wraith King is going to do that damage we talked about with the crit, with whatever build he goes, because people go Armlet and Death and stuff. It's good. It's like a nice last pick for them.
Gods, what can we expect from this?
I think TNC may struggle in the lanes. I think T1's just so good with their early game that they may just kind of snowball, but I'd like to see if TNC can put up a good showing.
What I'd like to see as well is what the casters that we have to think about the game. So let's welcome here to the panel electronically. It's MOP and John Xfire.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We are in GCASH Division 1, and it is MLP Dodo and John Xfire. John, welcome, sir. Game 1 of the whole 2-1. How you doing?
Doing great. Should be an exciting match. As the panelists mentioned, TNC has had a bit of an up and down. The new roster has been a little bit shaky, but we heard from Febby. I think that might be the ace up their sleeve. They don't know what's happening with their team. Other teams wouldn't know. So maybe they catch T1 by surprise. T1's been down low for quite a while as well. We haven't seen the boys play Dota in a while. And hopefully they have been playing Dota, because as we know from interviews with Cuckoo, they've been watching anime. They've been playing other games. So maybe March has disciplined them to focus in. Savage at least plays a lot of Dota, so we'll see if that will be a factor, but this should be a jam-packed match to kick us off here.
Absolutely, we are into game number 1 here between T1 and TNC, set to get underway. I wonder what games they have been playing, Jonathan. We've had chats with these boys. Been very, very upset with the options they've had for themselves in their free time. We won't mention the games, of course, because God forbid we bring those up. My goodness. Hopefully they got some Dota in.
Oh yeah. I mean, at least, we see Savage. He's a very Dota-centric person. He's been focused. So at least you can depend on your pause one here to go back and forth. But it should still be quite the back and forth match. That last pick, Raid King, just a direct counter to Chrono. You're going to have to kill Young God twice. And we've talked a little bit about Young God in other tournaments. This guy's a promising player. Hasn't had that much exposure. We'll see if he carries through here.
Oh, let one team fight, going to start straight off the back. Cuckoo looking to be in trouble, but they're going to try and fight back. It's not looking good though. Cuckoo going for a run. Still one right click away from dying. Meanwhile, towards the north, they are still going at it, but nobody's dead yet. 23 Savage now, trying to loop around from the side, but can't get to the high ground of that Radiant Triangle. It's like TNC, they're just going to keep aggressively posturing against T1. And they'll be alright, nobody will die. Somehow Cuckoo does get back to the fountain. TNC, or at the very least, should be able to swipe themselves 3 bounty runes for their trouble. Unless Whitemon can take it off Xiaoyu, but not quite. So 3-for-1 trade already. Very aggressive start from TNC. And John, it is SK. I mean, this is the first game of the DPC. I needed a quick pause. There we go, all over. Back into it.
Yeah, just a quick pause to make sure everything's set up right. I have to say, the commitment from TNC, we've seen them do this a couple of times in those different tournaments out there. They go for that aggressive play, the smoke wrap around through the triangle. Doesn't pay off, and that does force certain levels to be popular. Like Yoa playing that mid Razor already has to go for the early plasma field, so Carl can actually just opt for the lane dominant build, going for the dagger, going for the Scream of Pain. No need for the blink when there's no threat at the link. And that mid matchup for Yoa now just gets a bit slower at level 1. I think Carl understands he can harass out, use the dagger, regen some HP, and try to zone out Yoa to get that initial farm going in this matchup.
Absolutely, and of course down at the bot lane, we're looking at that right now. You've got Playhard and Xiaoyu against Whitemon and 23 Savage. In terms of this laning phase, John, it doesn't really feel like TNC have got the best ways of slowing Savage down. I mean, sure, you can kind of trickle away at his HB, but eventually he's just going to keep time walking away. And again, I kind of question what TNC does in this side lane to try and make T1's life a little bit more challenging.
It's that level 3 spike we're looking for, especially from the Darks here. You love to point it out, Mike. When they have that double Iron Shell at level 2, you can deal a lot of damage. And for a Void, it's a bit awkward. That's damage over time. It's not something that you can easily manage with your Time Walk, especially with the cooldowns at level 1. And you have to remember, with a Void now as well, you tend to go for early value points and time dilation. So spamming out the Iron Shell, spamming out the Impales aren't going to be as easy, and that just allows Savage to kind of control the lane. Still going to be annoying. The Iron Shell still fly through, but our Void isn't really zoned out. You can see Savage 7-2 having a good time with the initial few waves here.
Certainly so. Xiaoyu's the one dropping quite low on HP now. Savage just freely farming away. He does go on to play hard. Impel's going to be way off the mark, and they don't even get the range creep either, so a bit of a miss there from Play Hard as... Oh, it's already a bit of a struggle here, but I suppose we should have a look at the top lane as well. You've got Young God and Febby up against Zephyr, and of course Cuckoo on the Mars. Cuckoo somehow not dying earlier on. Couldn't quite believe it even to this point. Talk to me about this lane though, Jonathan. Do you expect T1 to have any issues here? Do you think Young God maybe struggles a bit here on the Raid King? What are we expecting?
I think it's really important for the Disruptor to actually stand forward, use all his mana pool. We talked a little bit about this early on, Mike. You have to use that Thunder Strike to zone out the enemy to ensure the lane's free for the Raid King. This is a bit of a shakeup for Febby. Most recently, his most comfy pause 5s have all been really sacrificial and healing.
Play hard. Yeah, he's gonna go down here, John. Whitemon able to pick up the kill. Xiao Yu unable to do anything to help in it. It kind of goes back to the duo. Like, you expect domination from this duo, but against the Bane, it's already hard enough. And against Savage, he's been unaffected. Whitemon's just held them at bay all laning phase.
Yeah, and if you can't leverage that early spike with that Darkseer, you're going to have to play greedy here. You're not slowing down any farm. One of the shortcomings of the Void is that farming pace, and it looks like Savage is going to be set to go. So it's a big win for T1 to just get this early start, to ensure Savage has that quick farm up towards the Mask of Madness, maybe just a quick Falcon Blade, and you're ready to go. And then you can play with those Kisses combos once level 6s are up. So I think for TNC, they have to be careful with this lane. If they don't get that running start for Xiao Yu, he's gonna be farming for a while.
He's somehow avoided the impale there, John. Whitemon, he's out. Play hard, barely surviving himself thanks to the stick charges. I don't know how Whitemon keeps doing this, but he survives another time. Keep in mind as well, he's holding on to all his skill points here on the Bane, so... Well, there you go. Eventually, he does get the brain set because he does need the HP, but now Play hard for the run. Poor old Play hard, again, just can't really get too much done in this laning phase. He's going to have to make his way back towards the T1 tower. All things being said and done, John, looking like a very clean game so far for T1. When you look at the CS board as well, Cuckoo not really struggling whatsoever in the off lane. So you've got your safe lane on off lane going very well. In the mid lane, pretty even right now in terms of CS, so you'd have to argue T1 just well and truly ahead.
And their timings are a little bit faster with that teamfight potential as well, as they find another kill. Young God this time falling down, so the top lane still tough here for the side of TNC, and even Hunbucker is still dropping low all over the place. It's just been a lot of aggression from T1, which is not really what you expect when you've got these supports. Maybe the off lane's a bit more aggressive, but certainly that bot lane, as you mentioned, like TNC, just not doing enough, and I think Savage is going to have a really good time once he gets even just one initial item up. He's going to be good to go.
They're trying to go into Whitemon again. Impale's going to be there, but both of them already so low as Whitemon walks away with the stick charges and now turns right back around. Play hard gets bashed on the last hit. Savage gets another kill. Rather, Whitemon takes that one. But what do you care? If you're T1, you're having the freest game of your life so far. TNC just unable to get anything going.
And that's a dangerous spot for them to be in, because when you look at TNC's lineup, all their playmaking comes in from the off and mid, and even top, again, that aggression coming out from Cuckoo, just punishing Febby so hard.
You love to see it. I mean, Cookie into Spear, just a very easy combination to land for T1 as bot lane. They do end up losing Whitemon, but top lane, Zephyr, is he going to get away from this? The Skeletons are still going to chase him down, and they are actually going to be able to hit him, so he's on the run now. Those Skeletons are taunting Zephyr right now as he tries to get out of range. He's so close to dying, but he's going to be fine. They lose vision, they give up.
It's just on edge, and T1 working every lane to near perfection. Playing so low on HP, Carl gonna get the bottle top up on mid, so he gets to hold that lane a bit longer. I think the only good news for TNC is that mid lane. You know, Razor's finding decent farm, decent levels coming through. Yoa's gonna hit level 6 soon. He's got the Tundra duo at play, but I don't know if they have enough to follow through here.
Well, Whitemon could be in trouble. Link is gonna be there. Kinetic field, way off the mark from Febby. He did not get the glimpse off either, so now the Cookie back in Carl. He lands it onto Yoe and takes him down. Just so darn easy right now, as T1 will go for a bit more. Onto Play hard, they'll find a double. And Carl's even got a DD rune waiting for him, John. But can you believe that? Everything going completely perfectly here for T1. TNC, not so much.
It's just not lining up for TNC. And when you look at their supports, there can be aggression with the Nyx and Disruptor, but Febby and Playhard has just been so worn out from the side lanes that when they rotate mid, they're out of mana, they can't really play, they can't really set up. And now TNC has to play a bit of a slower game. Maybe it's time to bank on Young God to farm out really quick. The Skeletons build up on the Raid King, go for the Armlet Dezu build that we tend to see, and just build yourself around that. But that's going to take some time for that farm to come in, even though you're against the Void. Again, Savage has had such a free lane that you're so far behind that Raid King that it's going to be hard to actually get farm.
At least got Whitemon. He'll get the Nightmare off, but a nice pickup there for Xiao Yu. They were considering trying to go after Savage as he did not really have too much mana. Next to the mana burn off, Play hard, but in the end they go for the support instead as top lane. You have the arena dropped very defensively there, I believe, from T1. Perhaps they were trying to find the Wraith King, but they get nothing. And Young God, he will taunt them a little bit.
Perfect.
Manages to run away, and I think that's all you really want here for the side of TNC, playing safe. Maybe wasting a couple of those spells. The issue is for T1, that arena's not that long for cooldowns. You can still build, although Savage being dived here.
He is, but he looks like he's going to be just fine as mid lane now. Yoe may get caught out. Cookie's going to land there from Zephyr. They've got the Sonic Wave out. The third kill of the game already for Carl. He's sitting at almost level 8 on this Queen of Pain at 8 minutes in, John. That's going to be problematic as he gets the next power rune. I was going to say Carl might start making rotations soon, but he just may not need to.
I don't think it's too pertinent for T1, Mike. Like, there's dominating the side lanes with or without that mid. Heck, with or without the supports, they're still doing fine. So I think they can just kind of play this way, keep farming up, get some initial items going, maybe wait out for level 6s on your support. That's when you can really play as a 5-man or even it's a trio. Once you have Kisses, once you have Grip, you can play with Arena, play with Chrono, line up, and just burst the heroes of TNC down. Like, they're really starting to lag behind, 7-2. 2K lead isn't massive, but we talked about timings. It just feels like TNC needed to be the ones to win out the laning phase. They have the Razor, they have the Darkseer, off to a much slower start than you'd want. And again, when you see a Void going off to this good start, its one weakness is that flash farm. It's not going to be a concern for Savage when he's sitting at number 3 right above every other core, kind of changing spots with Xiao Yu. But our power spike for the Darkseer takes a while. It's going to be Ags, it's going to be Guardian Greaves, the Blink, maybe even a refresh down the line, and that takes way more farm than it does for Savage to just hit an early Maelstrom BKB timing.
That it does. 7-2 right now, but a 3k net worth advantage for T1. A lot of talk right now about TNC. I mean, you kind of pointed this out earlier, but they are a brand new team almost as a 5-stack, so you do expect them to have a bit of a slower start as they do get used to each other. See if they can try to get that mid-game timing going with this draft, though, as big group up down a bot lane right now. Young God, he's rotated in with the surge up. They're going to try and chase down Whitemon, but he's fine. He had perfect vision with that Observer Ward. Scouts out everything for the side of T1. Walks right out of top lane. Who have they jumped? It's going to be Febby. You generally leave that position 5 behind in the safe lane. Try to give him that free XP, but it's not going to be so free while Cuckoo and Zephyr are around.
And it's going to be an issue. We talked about level 6 timings for supports. The Disruptor really needs that Static Storm as well. In fact, most of their team fights centers around that Disruptor.
It's a lot of damage. Carl, he'll blink in for it, and he'll pick it up as Playhard is unable to land the stun to try and get something out of this. And he gets another power rune, John. Carl's got a regen now.
Yeah, just every single thing lining up here for T1. Even the push down bot not happening here from TNC. And there's always the threat for counterplay now from T1 with a Chrono available. So TNC, they're grouped up as 4. They're dedicating their heroes here. They've got level 6 in Febby. They need to find this fight.
Walk away though, Whitemon, he's going to be there with the Nightmare if necessary, and now the TPs are in from T1. They're ready to force the fight. They've got Chrono 1, Savage. He hasn't found it, no he has. He's got 3 targets in the first Chrono of the game. They'll drop the back wall, but it means absolutely nothing. They just chase them down. Means grip out, they've got the Wraith King, they've got everything they can ask for. That Savage, he doesn't even go back for Young God. Eventually does. The Wraith King is actually running away, but eventually they will pick him up, at least for the first line. And there's your second now with the spear out from Cuckoo. They'll get another kill onto Young God. And TNC will find nothing for their trouble.
That's clean up again from T1, and we talked about it. TNC dedicated so much time bot. They were pressured to force that fight out. They did have levels up, but they couldn't find the angle. They just have no natural way of jumping the backline. There's no highly mobile hero here. You only really have Surge to play with, but there's no surprise factor with the Surge hero coming up. So I think TNC is having a very difficult time until certain blinks are out. I think Xiao Yu's blink is going to be key for TNC, and again, he's trying to build up into the Ags and blink. That's going to take a while. Xiao Yu's going to have to eat some farm space. That's going to slow down the farm of Young God. That's going to slow down the farm of Yoe. And that just means every core is going to be sacrificing themselves here just for you to have some initiation on hand.
The rotation though, down bot here, TNC, they've smoked up as 3. They really want to try for this tier 1 bot tower. They do find Savage, but they're not within range to get an impale off, so he's fine. Heavy, not able to reach for the Grimstack either, but they've got Zephyr. It's something. Right now, you'll take whatever you can get. If you are TNC, Yoe will happily take that kill on the Razor. In the meantime, they should be able to secure that bottom tier 1 tower. My only problem is, though, if you're T1, you're probably going to just head mid and start harassing the mid tier 1 instead. And as we always talk about, John, it's a much more valuable tower if they get away with it. But TNC, they've read that. They're moving over. Play hard in the Vendetta, looking for a target.
Dire's middle tower.
Oh, meanwhile, he's jumped in. He wants Young God. The reincarnation's not up. Won't have the backup. Not quite yet. Still in the mid lane. There is some action about to break out as Savage is there. They'll make the jump in onto Xiao Yu. And that'll be a Darkseid kill, I think, as Yoe and Playhard try to help out, but... Well, Playhard, he's having a rough game, John. There's been a lot of impels not landing this game 1. Unfortunately for TNC, they continue to get punished for it. Like, look at this, T1. Smoked up, they found Young God, and
oh no.
Whitemon just bounces his way over the tree line with the Tumbler's Toy. The Spebby, he's going to try and turn now, but you've got the Mortimer's Kisses up. They cannot sustain themselves with this amount of damage as Cuckoo comes in, plays up again. They'll even just leave Playhard. Just leave him be. No need for the next assassin right now. It's Cuckoo. He'll be chased down Yoe. Want to try and find a trade, but Whitemon is going to put him to sleep, or at least going to vacuum wall off onto the Boss 5 main. But that's about all they've got so far. In fact, Whitemon, he's not dead yet, but does finally go down to Zephyr. He jumps back in. Not sure about that one with Savage. He's there with the 2-man chrono now. Turn right back around onto Yoe with a big Sonic Wave onto Playhard and the Razor. It's just clean gameplay, John. It's just too clean.
Yeah, T1. I mean, they're in form, Mike. You know, we had some doubts coming in, right? They were out of the scene for a while. They weren't playing in any tournaments at all in the build-up towards DPC, but it looks like they've spent that time well. They've gotten practice down. They're executing as a team really well. Like, their movements is 4, their movements is 5. Reading the movement of TNC, counteracting, counter-engaging every single time. The smoke back a while ago from bot into that mid-engagement, just lining up for T1 to keep that aggression going. And for TNC, again, it's all a bunch of forced fights here, Mike. Like, Xiao Yu forced to use the back wall on a support, and that's your main CC, that's your main team fight control on top of that with a static storm kinetic field. And it's just not Cuckoo just wants to go ahead without Savage.
It's not a pub game, Cuckoo. Hold on. Wait for your carry, sir. There you go. Savage is back. They'll get back to it. Very rough times. I mean, you're kind of looking for a mid-game power spike here from TNC with this style of draft, John, but I start to question whether that's ever going to come. We're 14.5 minutes in, and with the 6k net worth deficit, it does feel like TNC are going to have to start looking to play for the late game with their Wraith King. I suppose you do have a Darkseid that does scale quite nicely as well, but it does concern me, especially when you're going into a Quap, a Void, a Mars, a Snapfire. Very, very scary stuff.
Yeah, I think scaling it to late for TNC still works, but I just worry about T1 when they have all those tools on hand. Like, Void versus Wraith King is a weird one, because obviously you kind of force the Void to wait for Chrono on second life. And then it's a question of whether or not your Void has enough damage to deal with that second life anyway. But you have the follow-up from T1. I think for TNC, there's still a bit of a mid-game pressure here. You want your Wraith King to hit that armlet, Desolator timing with a Blink BKB, and you have to play around that. So it's less late game, more mid game, I think, that we need to see TNC hit. And so far, T1 doing a great job of just shutting that down. They do lose their bot tower here, Mike. And they haven't managed to get the tower trade, so that's a bit of good news for TNC as they control the bot jungle, with a lot of good wards to protect. Just ensuring that the forwards find farm. At the same time, they're still kind of clumped around this area. They can't use their top jungle. They know it's a bit unsafe, even though T1 hasn't shown in that area at all. And the top tier one's just slowly being shoved. No one coming into defend because they're worried about a counter fight with the TP options from T1. So I think TNC's defensive play is losing them some map control and losing them some map efficiency.
Big smoke up now, T1. Well, Smoker's 5. I suppose they've read that movement correctly, John. I mean, you just kind of brought it up, but they are definitely afraid of a big jump coming in here from T1. Mid lane, a bit of a group up here from TNC now. They've smoked up as 3, but it's going to be a 4v5 unless they bring Young God over. But he doesn't really want to join right now as the Wraith King. TNC hoping that they just find a bit of a straggler for themselves. They try to approach that Radiant jungle high ground, but Zephyr is around to break the smoke. Play hard, he'll be the first one up though with the Vendetta. He hasn't been spotted yet. Maybe though has, and we'll just walk right away as Zephyr. He'll break the gap. Go in, but the cookie's off the mark. Scatterblast won't land either. Meanwhile, Cuckoo, who are we going for? Young God, he'll jump in. Nightmare's there to save Zephyr, who walk right out of there, and now Carl's joined in. They've got Febby straight off the bat in the Fiend Grip. They've already found the Rage King Smurf fly for Carl. He's dropping low. He'll get his BKB up in time, but then he's out of there. Big Sonic Wave though from the Quap, and now Young God's in trouble. He tried to chase down Carl, but it does not work out. A 7k advantage now. Savage is looking for a bit more. He's still got the chrono up. He wants to fight, but instead he'll take the Dire Triangle.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It all just goes back to that execution from T1. They have so many ways to approach these fights, Mike. But even if you don't use chrono, even if you don't use Arena, you still have good AoE stuns in your snap. You have good single target control with your Bane. Whereas for TNC, they don't have the hardest lockdown. I think their hardest spell is actually the Great Fire Blast. Like, that's your most reliable stun next to the Impale from Nyx, which, as you pointed out, Playhard hasn't been having the best game in landing combination. I think for TNC, they have to get this blink timing on their Darkseer. They need the blink vac walls to time in with the with the Impale from Playhard, and that's how you can kind of turn it around, get the Static Storm on top. That's their wombo combo, but they just can't execute. I think T1's just really playing on the aggressive way too hard here.
Oh, absolutely, John. I mean, you've got Chrono up, you've got Arena up, you just want to fight. You know how strong you are right now as T1. There's no reason to back off. TNC, however, I mean, they've got to find a way to defend this mid-tier 1 tower, but I just don't see how you do it as Cuckoo. He's jumped in. They found Yoen straight off the bat, so that's your Razor gone, and now Playhard. He's going to try to run, but there's no really running here. Carl, he's on it. Cuckoo will take the kill. And now that mid-tier 1 tower, it's as good as gone. The heroes, they were just the cherry on top.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Savage. Yeah, he found Febby, but he'll get the glimpse back. He should be just fine with it though. He's still got that tier 1 mid, no problem.
Dire's middle tower.
Oh, yeah, God, no. Fiend's Grip is up in 3, John. Whitemon, he's timed this perfectly, but they don't even need it. They don't even need it. As Young God, he's going to have absolutely no way out of this. He'll try to armor toggle the best he can. Can he actually make it out? Not quite. Skips out for Febby for some reason from Carl. Not sure what Febby's done wrong here, but Young God is going to drop.
And that's so big. We talked about the Wraith King matchup versus the Void Mike. Like, the key thing is that you force Chrono to be held back because of that second life. So far, it's not a factor at all. They will find Cuckoo with these. Can you find a kill?
Will they though, John? I mean, you've still got Chrono up, you've got Kisses up. I mean, everything's available right now for T1 as the cookie is there on Yoe. They got the Razor, they've got the Chrono again. Savage, no hesitation. Right into it. And why would you hesitate? And quite frankly, John, T1, they don't even need these ultis right now. Just no need to hold them, as they'll go right into the Roshan pit, it seems.
Straight approach, nothing to worry about. Even though they don't have Arena Kisses, they still have the grip. Arena's back off cooldown. TNC, again, their only big play is Vac Wall with Static Storm. We still don't have that Blink from Xiao Yu. We still don't have the Ags up on the Darkseer. So it's a long time for that power spike. And T1 recognized that. Just goes straight in, free Roshan. You have to admire the early item build up here as well. Like Cuckoo, Carl, and Savage are all going for very fast BKBs. We talked about this a bit behind the scenes, like, we talked about Disruptor. Once BKBs are up, that's Static Storm. Your key control is just gone. Like, you're not going to find Ags in the pause fight that quick, especially in a game where you're so far behind. So
they're going to try.
Ready for it.
They're trying to get anything they can get right now. They'll try to just accept the Whitemon kill, but it's not that easy. Whitemon, he's still alive, just barely, but it seems as though T1 will allow this gift to go the way of TNC. Not interested in trying to force the fight right now. They'll accept the fact that they got the Aegis basically for free. TNC, you just kind of accept the time you have. Keep that farm up, try to get Young God nice and healthy on this Wraith King. I mean, you are approaching that timing as well for Xiao Yu now. He's got the Aghanim Scepter coming out on the Darkseer. That is a pretty decent power spike for TNC.
It is. Like, the sustain, the double Ion Shell kind of playing really strong with some damage output. And it is already maxed out, so you will be taking some damage there, especially if you chrono them as 2, and they've got the Ion Shells on. The issue is, again, for T1, they're going to have early BKBs anyway. And Savage is not too far off. We already saw Carl's. We're going to see Cuckoo's in a bit as well. Those BKBs for the other 2 cores are going to line up kind of perfectly in sync with that Ags timing on Xiao Yu. And that just takes away the damage output of it. So all you're going to have is like plus 350 HP on the Ion Shell instead. And I don't think that's enough to mitigate the aggression here. Like, I don't think that's going to hold back T1 from just going for these aggressive plays we've seen time and time again, because damage really isn't an issue. I don't think the durability buff from that Ags is going to do enough. I think the blink timing is still the bigger one for Xiao Yu, and again, they've got to wait a little bit longer for that, as they just need more time to farm. It's not just Xiao Yu, they're going to have the Desolator and Young God very soon, Mike. So there's a little bit more damage coming out from TNC. They can maybe handle the back line, but you're going to need a Blink and BKB on Young God as well. So there's still a lot of items to farm up before TNC really hits a big spike here.
Yeah, but they're not going to have the time, John. Another 5-man smoke up here from T1. They're just more than happy to rotate around their timings. It's the spell CDs. T1 not going to quite find a target in that dire triangle.
Radiant's top
A bit of a scan out. Won't find anyone with that either. But Cuckoo, he'll run into Play Hard. They don't have the detection yet. In fact, Play Hard, he's going to try and go in, but Cuckoo, he got the BKB off in time. And we'll just taunt him. If he dances around the Nyx Assassin, they'll easily be able to pick this kill up. No problem here for Carl. Right into the mid-tier 2 tower they go. In fact, Carl, he wants to try and force some of the fight. He's onto Young God. Sonic Wave trying to push him back, but it's not going to work out. It pushes him up to the high ground instead. Although he's not done yet, he's into the tier 3 tower. He ends up killing off the Disruptor. Heavy gets tipped again, and he TPs up right in front of their eyes.
Top tower is under attack.
That's no problem for Carl. Another day in the office.
Yeah, just in and out coming here from T1 and TNC. Their backs are against the wall now. 28-5, 10k lead for T1. They've got a lot to play with, even though they use their BKBs for support kills. I don't think T1 minds at all, because they save their big spells. They've still got the kisses, they've still got the grip, they've still got the chrono on Savage. There are no worries. Savage still has his BKB, and he's really the most important one with the BKB anyway, to ensure a good chrono goes off. So I think for T1, yeah, they're just gonna wait back a bit, get some more items, go for the smoke play now. Let's see who they catch.
They've got everything. Apart from that Sonic Wave in the arena, but who cares? You've got the chrono, you've got the kisses, that's all you really need. TNC, they are on the low ground right now. This could be a bit of a disastrous position for them. The Savage is going to dump in another great chrono. He found 2 primary targets and the kisses. They are going to go right in for free. Already found the first life, and now Yoed. He's been caught out by Whitemon. He'll try to run with his BKB up at Savage, and Carl will just chase him down to the end of the earth. Eventually, he will drop it. They continue now. The arena is back up. Zephyr, he does finally hit them going down. Young God, in the meantime, is somehow still alive. In fact, they found the Aegis on Savage, but it won't matter. He'll respawn up, no problem, as Young God does finally drop it the second time. And Play Hard, well, he just fought back. Will be surged away by Xiao Yu. Another unsuccessful team fight here from TNC is T1 done some great targets themselves, and TNC, they only got Zephyr.
T1, their coordination as a team is just so on point. You know, coming in from TI, not playing for a while, but they are coordinating so well. They're using these spells so well. Their cooldowns are all lined up. Their BKB uses have been on point. Their target priority is really the big one. Like while Chrono goes off, you bait in the Razor, you force out his BKB, and then you get a grip off. And because the Nyx is stuck in that Chrono, he doesn't have the stun to stop that grip. They lack the control to counteract, and TNC, their coordination just isn't quite there yet. They've got the damage up on Young God. They still need a Blink to be up in Xiao Yu. They still need the BKB on Young God. There's still so much more they need to farm up, but as you pointed out, Mike, it just doesn't feel like T1's giving them time. They're just constantly on the aggressive. They managed to play with the Aegis, and it only had like half a minute left when it popped on Savage. So even the timing on that item use is near perfection from T1. And TNC just needs to find an opening. They just need one big kill. If they can isolate one of the big, fatter heroes on T1, that could stall out long enough for them to bounce a little bit back in.
Good. Another nice arena. He's got Bebby right off the back. Xiao Yu, though, gonna blink in, trying to get something done, but the BKB's there already up. Now Savage walks in. In fact, it's rewind time, John. He's got the rewind button. Charms are up for Savage. And he just becomes infinitely harder to kill now in that void. They are still looking in towards that mid-tier 2 tower. TNC, they are going to posture. They're going to try and stick around and force back T1. And they will do so. You still have about 7 seconds for the Chrono to be back up here for Savage. TNC, but they still need so much time. That 14k deficit, it's It's just been rough for them. They just haven't had the space.
Radiant's top tower has been
It's just not
denied.
enough room to really build up. TNC is going to go for a smoke play now, but they're pretty blind on the map. They don't have very aggressive wards forward. Whereas you look at T1 forwards all behind the tier 2s. They're the ones who want to set the pace and be aggressive. They could use this opportunity to get that forward vision out. I don't think they're really planning on a kill, and they do at least ping out. Looks like T1 managed to read that movement, hold back, stay as a team by their own tier 1. So the smokes, it's not a complete bust for TNC, as they do need a vision out, but you're just not finding the kills, right? You're just not finding the openings, and T1 could make use of this and start going on the hunt themselves.
That they will.
Middle tower is under
Scan
attack.
out does actually catch you and the Radiant Triangle, but that won't matter because T1, they just want the T2 mid. They'll force the rotation back from TNC, or they'll just take the tower. Carl will just keep going at it, no problem. And T1, rather T2 is gone.
Tower has
No
fallen.
defense to come from TNC. They accept the fact that they cannot fight into all the ultimates available right now on T1. Thing is though, in the meantime, T1, they might just get started on that bottom tier 2 tower and eventually just go back up top. TNC eventually are going to have to try and address this issue, but it seems like now is not the
Radiant's
time.
top tower is under attack.
Maybe you just wait out Young God's BKB first, but even then, you know, Fiend's Grip, Chrono, these spells, they do not care about your BKB.
It just makes it so hard for TNC to position themselves. They have to stay really split up. At the same time, they need to try and make T1 group up, but they just haven't been given that opening. And you can see them just taking over that top jungle, taking the farm, grabbing the outpost, opening up the next Roshan here. We still have the tier 2 top for TNC to TP into. That next Roshan in a minute and a half. If a fight breaks out, that could just really give you another free Roshan here for T1 if you're not careful on TNC's end.
Yeah, absolutely. You see play hard of the Knicks right now, just trying to get some information for his team as they are going to spot out Carl. In fact, Carl, he jumps right into him. You do have Young God
Radiant's
around, but
middle
he's going
tower
to
is
TP
under
away.
attack.
Play hard. He might stalk Carl for a little bit, but in the end, there's not really much they can do. So you're just kind of waiting up the next Roshan timing and maybe just trying to fight T1 in the Roshan pit. But even then, they've got a great Roshing lineup. They'd be more than happy, I'm sure, to fight in that pit if it came to it. You've got about 40 seconds for that, though.
There's a little bit more time. TNC can use this time to maybe
Radiant's
get some more
bottom
farm going. They've got their triangle under control, so there's a source of income now for Young God to still build in and finish that BKB. Except he will go for the BKB first instead of the Blink. I think he's been holding out Blink money just in case, but he figures that as long as he's not in Chrono, you know, he can do work with a BKB up. That's gonna force Whitemon to make a choice with a grip. Although we have seen him make the right choices before. Once he sees the BKB and the Razor, just instant grip there. But now he has to kind of choose between the Razor and the Wraith King. So that could complicate the fights for T1 if they're not in the right position. But again, using this time to farm means that T1's just blind up for Roche. They see the respawn. They're going to go straight into it. And again, the map is pretty dark for TNC. They don't know where T1 is. And that just limits their response. They could try to make that play. They've got the blinking Xiao Yu, but they need to be fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Roshan, not the fastest, but not the slowest either. Problem is TNC, they are not reacting whatsoever to this Roshan, so it's going to go the way of T1 for free. Shard's up as well. You've already got one on Savage and Carl, so it's a matter of who you want to give it to, but Cuckoo might take it himself. In fact, Savage has got it in his own backpack. You can't have another one, Savage, and well, eventually he does give it over to Cuckoo.
But Cuckoo already has his up, so maybe Whitemon? Actually, Zephyr is. They all have it, so Whitemon gets the freebie. Everyone has the shard already. Zephyr already had one, so Whitemon gets it. He's going to have the bonus on the Brain Sap now. AoE, even more damage coming through for T1 to play with when everyone's pumped up from TNC. And the lead's just massive now, Mike. 32-6, 17k, 18k lead. TNC still holding on as long as possible. Their high ground defense is strong. Again, if you get a good vac wall and static storm on top, you can play. But I think that's going to be their best angle here. Just play high ground.
Oh, Febby. Oh, he ends up going down there to Carl. He tried to go for the Glimmer Smack, but the Lincoln Spear was already up. He just gets blown up immediately by Carlos. Now a big smoke is there. T1, who have they found? Yoe, he gets caught out right in the BKB. They cannot stop Savage in this chrono. He'll go after Play Hard, but now the Beat Grip is up at the arena. Rules to be dropped here by T1. Yoe just gets blown apart as they even found Xiao Yu. Young God, he's the only man left, but it's not looking great for him. He'll try to get underneath those T4 towers, but they're not safe either. Savage, he's happy to fight. Coop, oh, Carl's blinked in. Panic Storm's been dropped, but he's got the BKB up. He's just manning up here. He'll blink right back away, but now Savage is back in, but he rewinds again. Yoe, well, he knows he can't fight. But you've got Aegis up on Savage. There's not really too much to be afraid about. TNC, gotta just kind of watch as their home burns right now. T1, they will not be able to go after another lane of barracks yet. There are 2 outer towers left. But getting that mid-racks is a pretty tough, great start if you ask me. It's Cuckoo. We'll try for a cheeky spear onto the Ancient, but won't quite get it. Savage, oh, he'll threaten, but again, no chrono up. That'll be enough for T1, they'll back.
A big win for T1. TNC was forced to buy back on a lot of heroes just to get the defense going, and they still lose the racks. T1 has a massive window. Age is still up for 2 minutes 40 here. They could look for the bot, or they could look for the top and just shove in, find another set of racks, play slow and easy. I think once you get the next set of racks, you might be able to end if you're on the side of T1. I think they understand once they get the buybacks going, there's not going to be a window for TNC to defend. And even if they do manage to get buybacks back going, we've seen what happens. TNC, when they lose their team fight spells, they just don't have an angle, right? Like we saw Febby before buying back already used the Static Storm. So when he bought back, he didn't have that option. We already saw the early vac wall from Xiao Yu as well. So it just limits the counter fight for TNC since they're so reliant on those cooldowns.
Savage, he saw Play Hard there for a second. They'll make the jump in. Savage is right on his tail, but doesn't have the dust. Nor does Carl. They are still trying to find Play Hard. Never mind, they ignore him. They'll just go onto the creep wave and get started on that tier 2 tower. Play hard. They'll spot out Carl, but it's not that easy of a target to take down. Especially with that BKB up. In fact, now Play Hard, he's the only man down at that bot lane anyway. Everyone's left. Does he want to cancel TP? Yeah, he will. He'll get the cancellation off. Carl will try to turn now, but should not have enough. And he won't. But top lane shot, Zephyr has rotated onto Young God with the scatter blast. It's off the mark. Savage, he'll still move in. They've got the chrono up if they need it. But they probably won't, considering how much damage Savage is doing right now. In fact, now the spear round does catch the disruptor Febby. He's just going to die to the mortar of his kisses. And now they've got the Wraith King trapped up in the Fiend Grip through the BKB out. Young God is gone. Yoe, he shows up with Savage. He gets another great chrono. On the 2 heroes into the arena of Cuckoo. It's just clinical. It is an absolute clinic here as Xiao Yu gets a big vacuum off, but the GG's been called. They have seen enough. T1, they clean up game number 1 against TNC Predator. And I'll tell you what, John, it wasn't even close.
It really wasn't. T1 just played a masterclass game. You know, their execution was on point, their coordination as team was up there. You can see them all cool and calm, collected, not too excited. I think they expected to find